Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWAS NBA Tuesday. We got 7 games on the board. As far as Monday night, I only placed one bet. It was the Angels money line at plus money, and it hit. So I went 1-0. Didn't place any NBA bets. Didn't really find anything I liked. I do have some bets on this slate, though.
I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points?
I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. First up, we got Phoenix on the road in Milwaukee. Suns. Remember when the Suns were playing some defense? Not anymore. I mean, they're back to being the Suns. Terrible defense. In fact, in the last 5 games, they're the worst defense in the NBA. Literally 30th in defensive efficiency. Actually, neither of these teams have been playing particularly good defense, if we're being honest. But this is good news for Milwaukee. The Bucks have really struggled with good defenses this year. They're 9-15-1 against the spread against top 10 defenses, 12-12 against the spread against bottom 10 defenses. So the Bucks have definitely been more profitable against bad defenses. Meanwhile, the Suns haven't been profitable against either. Good defenses, bad defenses, it doesn't matter. The Suns have been burning your money against either. Now, something that works in the Suns' favor here is the fact that they don't run in transition. Phoenix sets their offense up in the half court, and the reason that's good news is the Bucks have struggled against teams that don't run in transition. They play great defense in transition, so a team that doesn't run in transition kind of renders that useless. Against the top 10 teams in transition, they're 17-10-2 against the spread. Against the bottom 10, so against the teams that don't run in transition, like the Suns, just 12-12 against the spread. And we've got even more good news for Phoenix here. Obviously, we know the Suns' offense is not attacking the paint. This is a jump shooting offense all the way. The reason you like that, if you're betting Phoenix, Milwaukee's been far less profitable against these types of offenses. Against the bottom 10 in paint frequency, so against teams that don't attack the paint, 9-12 against the spread, 6-15 to the under as well. So a trend towards the under there. And against teams that take a lot of threes, just 10-16 against the spread, 8-18 to the under. So against offenses that fit the Suns mold, the Bucks are not covering, and they're trending heavily towards the under. Injuries on the Phoenix side, we got no Kevin Durant here. He's been ruled out. I'm reading he's going to miss at least a week. Bradley Beal might be back, though. He's listed as questionable. On the Bucks side, Giannis is listed as probable. AJ Green is on the report listed as questionable. Lillard is still out. Portis is suspended for, I think, 1 more week. Still no Jericho Sims as well. As far as betting this game, everyone's going to hate this. I'm on the Suns here. I took the points and I took the money line. I know. Everyone's going to hate it. I'm going to get a lot of comments telling me I have a problem. Can't stop betting this Suns team. But the truth is, this number is crazy. I think this should be 2.5, 3. I legitimately have this one at 2.5, even without Kevin Durant. I mean, who are the Milwaukee Bucks right now to be laying this big of a number with no Lillard, no Bobby Portis, no Jericho Sims? They're extremely thin right now. This number's way too big. I know. You're all going to hate it. I'm on the Suns, +7. I also took the money line. You still can get +7s. It actually moved up to 8.5 for a little bit. Moved up to 7.5 for a little bit. Back down to 7. MGM has even dropped it to 6.5. So if you look, you can still find Phoenix +7. I'm sure none of you are going to tail me on this one, though. Next game. Philadelphia on the road in New York. I'm not going to spend any time on this one. We have no idea who's playing for Philadelphia. I mean, honestly, with all the injuries on the New York side, we don't know who's playing for the Knicks either. So I'm going to skip right over to Portland on the road in Atlanta. The Hawks have been the significantly better team, but we do have to point out they played the much easier schedule as of late. They're 29th in strength of schedule in their last 10 games. In the last few, they've started to see some good teams, but compared to Portland, 4th in strength of schedule in their last 10. What's concerning on the Blazers side is the slumping defense. They're 27th in defensive efficiency in the last 5 games. Hawks have been a solid offensive team all year, as I'm sure you know. This should be a handful for this Blazers defense. Portland's been more profitable this year against bad offenses and slow-paced teams. Neither of those describe the Atlanta Hawks, so this might be a tough matchup for the Blazers. Now, something Portland has done a lot of recently is run in transition. They're top 10 in transition frequency frequency in the last 10 games, top 5 in the last 5 games. So this Blazers team has been running Atlanta in these types of matchups this year. It's almost been an automatic over. Check this out. 19-6 to the over Atlanta is against teams in the top 10 in transition frequency. So when the Hawks play teams that run, it almost exclusively goes over the total. And as far as the Hawks offense goes, check this out. So it looks like Atlanta is transitioning. If you remember, all season the Hawks have been attacking the paint, right? It's been the core of their offense. Looks like we're starting to see the Hawks shoot some threes. In fact, they're shooting a lot of threes in the last few games. And if that's the case, if Atlanta's going to be a 3-point shooting team moving forward, that also points to the over in this matchup. Portland games have gone over the total at a very high rate against teams that shoot threes. 17-8 to the over against the top 10 in 3-point frequency. So even more numbers pointing towards an over here. Injuries on the Portland side, we got Simons on the report again. He's listed as questionable. Jeremy Grant listed as doubtful. Still no Ayton, still no Scoot Henderson. Robert Williams III, he's gonna miss another game as well. On the Hawks side, Trae Young's on the report listed as probable. Jacob Toppin is listed as questionable. Still no Capella, still no Wallace. So yeah, we got a lot of injuries on both sides of this one. As far as betting this game, I just couldn't get there with the over. As you've just heard, there's a lot of numbers pointing towards an over here, but even with those included, I still have this one at what? 236.5, 237. So, I mean, this is a super high number. So I guess I'd lean over. I mean, at the current number, 5.5, 6, maybe a slight lean towards Portland. But to be honest, the market has this one pretty much spot on where I have it. So it's just a pass at the current price. Next. Golden State's on the road in Memphis for this one. Obviously, the Grizzlies are on a back-to-back here, but we don't want to move the needle too much for that because Memphis has been one of the best teams in the NBA on 0 days rest this year. They're 10-3 against the spread. So the second leg of back-to-backs haven't really been a problem for this Grizzlies team so far this year. In terms of efficiency, last 10 games, the Golden State Warriors are 17th. Offensively, the Grizzlies are 12th. Defensively, the Warriors have been excellent. They're 3rd in the last 10 games. Memphis, obviously, not as good back at 17th. We do need to acknowledge the strength of schedule here. In the last 10 games, the Warriors are 21st. The Grizzlies are 11th. Obviously, we're talking about the Grizzlies. We know we're going to see an up-tempo game from them. One of the fastest-paced teams in the NBA and have been all year. That might favor Golden State a bit. They've been more profitable against fast-paced teams this year. They're 11-10-2 against the spread against the top 10 in pace, 10-14 against the spread against the bottom 10 in pace. But if you really want to see something that tilts the scales towards Golden State, remember, we're talking about the Grizzlies against a good team, and that's been a nightmare for Memphis. If you've stuck with the system, blindly fade the Grizzlies against good teams, blindly bet them against bad teams, you are doing just fine this year. 7-14-1 against the spread against top 10 offenses, 8-14-1 against the spread against top 10 defenses. Meanwhile, against bad teams, bottom 10 offenses and bottom 10 defenses, 16-8 and 17-12. So again, if you've stuck with the system, fade the Grizzlies against good teams, bet them against bad teams, you are making some money on Memphis Grizzlies basketball games this year. Now, it's not all bad for Memphis in this one. In fact, I have an angle I kind of like for the Grizzlies. As I'm sure you know, Memphis is an offense that attacks the paint a lot. This is not a three-point shooting offense. They're always attacking the interior. Golden State's actually had some problems against teams that fit that description. Against the top 10 in paint frequency, Golden State's 12-12-3 against the spread, 7-20 to the under. So against teams that attack the paint a lot, Golden State games have gone under the total at a high rate. Meanwhile, against teams that don't attack the paint, they're 15-9 against the spread, so they've covered at a higher rate, 15-9 to the over. So against teams that attack the paint, Golden State's about 500, heavy to the under. Interesting. Memphis definitely attacks the paint. As far as betting this game, I mean, this number has just gotten way too big. It's been on the move. Golden State's definitely taking money, and I understand it. I mean, the Grizzlies against a good team, it's been a nightmare this year, as we just talked about. But even with the back-to-back, I still only have this one at Golden State -0.5. I'm seeing a 5.5 right there on BetMGM, a 5.5. It's an expensive 5.5. I'm legitimately considering betting Memphis here because this number's just been bought up way too high. 5.5 on the road in Memphis against a Grizzlies team that's 10-3 against the spread on 0 days rest this year. I think that's too high. Memphis are pass here at the +5.5. I'll let you know on the live show if I actually bet it. Toronto's on the road in Chicago, and this is actually an interesting matchup. I took a long look at this one. There were a lot of angles I liked about it. So in the last 10 games, these are the two fastest-paced teams in the NBA. They're literally first and second. Two fastest teams in the league right now, but that doesn't really move the needle either way because neither of these teams have been profitable against fast-paced teams. Bulls are 11-14 against the spread against the top 10 in pace. Raptors 14-13-1. Both these teams have been significantly more profitable against slow-paced teams. So the fact that we should see a super fast-paced game here doesn't really move the needle in either direction. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Kyle, let's just bet the over. Two fastest-paced teams in the NBA, let's hammer the over. And I'm not completely opposed to that, although we do have to mention that these are also two red-hot defenses. In the last 10 games, the Raptors are first in the NBA in defensive efficiency, and the Bulls are 5th. Now, we do have to acknowledge the strength of schedule. For the Raps, they're 30th. They played the easiest schedule in the league in the last 10 games. Meanwhile, the Bulls are 5th in defensive efficiency against the 13th strongest schedule. So the Bulls' recent defense, I would say, maybe a little more validated than the Raptors' recent defense. Now, something I definitely like for the Bulls here is Toronto's defense seems to have fallen off a little bit in transition, which is kind of weird because if you rewind 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were playing excellent defense against the fast break. We've seen the Raptors fall off in that department. They're actually bottom 10 in the NBA in the last 10 games, and that's against an easy schedule. The reason this is significant, Bulls have struggled against good transition defenses all year. Against top 10 transition defenses, they're just 7-15 against the spread, but against bottom 10 transition defenses, they're over 500. Raptors have dropped into the bottom 10 defensively against the fast break, so I like that for Chicago. More good news for the Bulls. Toronto offensively has been attacking the paint all year. In fact, I believe they're first in the NBA. No team attacks the paint more frequently than the Raptors. The reason this is significant, Bulls have been much more profitable against those types of offenses. They're 15-10-1 against the top 10 in paint frequency, 9-12-1 against the spread, against the bottom 10 in paint frequency. So another angle I like for the Bulls there. And there's even another angle I like for the Bulls here on the other side of the court. So the Bulls offensively have been mostly a three-point shooting offense for most of the season, but recently, they've been transitioning. In fact, they're top 5 in paint frequency in the last 10 games. So the Bulls are no longer a three-point reliant offense. They're attacking the interior, which plays directly into the weakness of this Raptors defense. Toronto this year against the top 10 in paint frequency, 12-15 against the spread. Against the bottom 10 in paint frequency, so teams that don't attack the paint, 18-4 against the spread. So I like this matchup for Chicago across the board. I like the matchup for the Bulls offense and the Bulls defense. Here's the kicker. They're on a back-to-back, and the Bulls have not been good this year on 0 days rest. They're 3-8 straight up, 3-8 against the spread. Makes it really tough to bet the Bulls here. Injuries on the Toronto side. Obviously, the Raptors have been a little crazy with their injury reports this year, so this is always open to change. But as of right now, Roden is on the report listed as questionable. No Agbaji, RJ Barrett's going to miss this one. No Grady Dick, and still no Brandon Ingram. On the Bulls side, we won't have an updated injury report yet. They're on a back-to-back. As far as betting this game, I took the Bulls in this one. I know that 3-8 against the spread on 0 days rest is definitely going to scare some people off. Honestly, I still don't think this number is big enough. I have it at 7.5. It's a really good matchup for Chicago, like I said. So yeah, I laid it with the Bulls, one of my smaller bets, but I am on the Bulls. As of right now, you can get a 5. If you look, it looks like Caesars has a 5, Circa has a 5, so you can get a Chicago at -5 right now. Orlando's on the road in San Antonio here, and this is actually an interesting one. I spent a weird amount of time looking at this game. I just kept finding matchups that I liked, trends pointing to either side. Obviously, we'll start with the fact that Orlando is on a back-to-back. So far this year on 0 days rest, they're 7-5 against the spread, 5-7 straight up. So they haven't been terrible on 0 days rest, but we do have to mention that they did just play a home game against the Clippers earlier tonight. Now, obviously, we know the build of this Magic team. It's been the same for a couple years now. Elite defense, below average to straight up bad offensive team. The Magic are actually second in the NBA in defensive efficiency in the last 10 games. Now, on the San Antonio side, Spurs have been pretty terrible across the board. I will say they have played a stronger schedule than the Magic have recently, but not many positive talking points when it comes to this Spurs team right now, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, since Wembanyama got hurt, this has been arguably the worst defense in the NBA, certainly one of the worst defenses in the NBA. That is great news for Orlando because the Magic have been profitable against bad defenses this year. They've struggled against good defenses, 7-13-1 against the spread against the top 10 defenses, 19-8 against the spread against bottom 10 defenses. So Orlando has really taken advantage of these matchups when they play bad defenses. Now, it's not all positive for Orlando, though. I actually found a couple matchups I like for San Antonio here. Number one being the Orlando Magic's slow-ass pace. They've been one of the slowest paced teams in the NBA all season. San Antonio's been profitable against slow-paced teams this year. They've actually had problems with fast-paced teams against the top 10 in pace, top 10 in transition frequency. They're 10 and 14 against the spread, 6 and 15 against the spread. Against the bottom 10 in pace and bottom 10 in transition frequency, 13 and 9 against the spread, 14 and 9 against the spread. Obviously, we know Orlando is a slow-paced team, not exactly a team that runs in transition, although we have seen the Magic run some fast breaks recently. But as a whole, this should be a favorable matchup for San Antonio in that respect. And there's some more good news for the Spurs on the other side of the court. San Antonio offensively, they definitely run in transition. I mean, they've been running the fast break all season before Fox got there. Then they got Fox, then Fox got hurt. They never slow down. This team has been top 10 in transition frequency and close to the top 10 in transition efficiency all year. Orlando has struggled against these types of teams this year. Against the top 10 in transition frequency, they're 10 and 15 against the spread, 18 and 10 against the spread against the bottom 10 in transition frequency. So that's back-to-back positive angles I found for the Spurs here. But then I started looking at shot zone matchups, and I mean, I really like the matchup on the three-point line on both sides of the court for Orlando here. San Antonio has an absolutely terrible perimeter defense. I mean, they haven't been able to defend the three-point shot all year. Now, Orlando doesn't really take a lot of three-point shots. This is not a good three-point shooting team, but they have been profitable against bad three-point defenses. On the season, the Magic are 15 and 9 against the spread, against the bottom 10 defenses in efficiency against the three-point shot. And on the other side, we know San Antonio's offense, they take a lot of threes, but Orlando's been a solid perimeter defense all year, and the Spurs have struggled against good three-point defenses. Against the top 10 three-point defenses, the Spurs are 10 and 17 against the spread. Against the bottom 10, 12 and 12 against the spread. Injuries in this one on the Orlando side, we won't have an updated report yet. They're on a back-to-back. I would imagine Cole Anthony is going to be on there listed as questionable. He sat out against the Clippers earlier tonight. On the Spurs side, nobody. As far as the active pieces go, obviously Fox is out for the year, Wembanyama out for the year. But as far as the active pieces for the Spurs, there's nobody on the report. They're going to be at full strength. As far as betting this one, I mean, as ugly as it may feel to bet this San Antonio team, Orlando should not be laying 4 on the road in this spot. I have this at Orlando -1, so I bet the Spurs. I bet San Antonio +4. I also sprinkled the money line at +150. Looks like some sportsbooks have begun to bring this down to 3.5, but you can still get a 4 if you look. Minnesota's on the road in Denver for this one, and we need to ask, do the Timberwolves just own this Nuggets team? They've won all 3 this year, and it's not just this year. Denver always seems to have problems with this Minnesota team. Anthony Edwards is actually 10 and 4 straight up in his last 14 games against the Nuggets. This is the Nuggets' kryptonite. They always struggle with Minnesota. In terms of efficiency, Minnesota's been the significantly better team as of late. They've been a top 10 team on both the offensive and defensive sides of the court. Denver's been pretty mediocre. Now, obviously, Denver's been riddled with injuries. If we're looking at numbers from the last 10 games, we have to mention that Jokic missed 4, Jamal Murray's missed 3, Aaron Gordon has missed 2 or 3 himself. So the Nuggets have definitely been hit with the injury bug here. I'm not saying it's an excuse because they've been so awful on the defensive side of the ball, but we definitely do need to take note that the Nuggets have not really been 100% recently. Injuries on the Minnesota side, the T-Wolves are in pretty good shape here. You got Terrence Shannon on the report listed as questionable. Other than that, the Wolves are going to be good to go. On the Denver side, Jamal Murray's listed as questionable. Christian Brown is listed as probable. Aaron Gordon on the report listed as questionable. Jokic on the report listed as probable. Still no Strother. So yeah, that injury bug I was just talking about, Denver's still not over it. I'm going to pass on this Nuggets game for now. I don't really have a feel for either team. I mean, Minnesota's been playing pretty well, but they've played an easier schedule. Meanwhile, Denver, I mean, they've been so hurt over the last 10 games that I really don't know what Denver is right now. I would think Denver doesn't want to get swept 4-0 by Minnesota. So if they put their main pieces out there, I would think that we'll see a great effort out of them. But Denver's on a back-to-back. They immediately have another game after this, home against the Spurs. So there's just a lot of moving pieces in this one. I really don't have a feel either way. Live show, 4 p.m. Eastern time. As always, we'll go through the MLB slate, the NBA slate. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. If you want to go see all the bets I'm personally on, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on Open Bets. If you sign up to Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, access to the Sauce Network app, all of that. So head over to the website and sign up if you're interested. Let's have ourselves a great Tuesday night. Please remember to bet responsibly. See you tomorrow.